Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and welcome to episode 278 of the MTGGoldfish podcast. And we got the full crew here this week, kicking things off with their owner of MTGGoldfish, Richard. How's it going this fine Monday, Richard?
Hey Seth, doing well. How's it going?
It is going well. We actually have a surprising amount of news to talk about today. We got new sets coming out, we got tournament changes, but before we get to that, we have another co-host in Krim. What's up today, Krim?
Morning, Seth. I am so excited for, one of those announcements. So a good amount of it, like you had mentioned, there's a lot of stuff this week, but one of them is going to be great for my EDH deck.
Yeah, so our plan for today, we have a couple of organized play announcements, a Magic eSports announcement, some arena tournament announcements that we wanted to talk about. We have set announcements, multiple set announcements. Double Masters was announced this past week. Some secret lair drops are being announced as we're recording this, so we'll cover all of that stuff, and then of course answer some fish mail at the end. So that's the plan for today. But before we get into it, a reminder that our show today is once again brought to you by Spikes Academy. And Spikes Academy recently launched a new control course with Corey Burkhart. So if you like to make your opponent's life miserable with counterspells and card advantage, this is the perfect course for you. You can check it out now at spikesacademy.com and learn from the very best players in the world. So thank you to Spikes Academy for supporting the show, and let's talk some Magic. Let's start off with organized play stuff. So we had a couple of really big announcements this week. Let's start with the first one, and the easy one I think to talk about, which is they announced that we are going to be having our first official real money tournament. I think it will be on Magic Arena this coming weekend, actually, the Arena Open. So Arena Open, quick overview before we get into it. It's a 2-day event. Day 1 is best of 1 standard. Day 2 is best of 3 standard. It costs 4,000 gems to enter or 20,000 gold to enter. On day 1, you can rebuy to get back in. You gotta go 7 wins before you lose 3 times to make it into day 2. And then day 2 is where things get really interesting. It switches to best of 3. You gotta go 7-1 essentially. Your second match loss will put you out of the tournament. But if you get all the way up to 7 wins, you get $2,000 cash, and it has gem prizes across the board to 4,000, 6,000, 10,000, 20,000, depending on your number of wins. So what do y'all think about the Arena Open in this style of tournament for the first time coming to Magic Arena?
So we missed the most important thing, which is play at your own pace. So unlike in normal tournaments where you have to wait for everyone to finish the round, this is like normal Arena. You just hit next and then you play your next opponent. Then you can take a 5-hour break and then do the same thing. There is just a window of time in which you need to do it. But play at your own pace is a pretty big deal, I think, because the number one thing stopping me from doing any high-level Magic tournaments is I don't feel like blocking 12 hours of my time off and like playing Magic and then trying to fill the time between rounds with something, but it can't be something, that's too time consuming, because like your next round can start at any minute. Like the minute you get a sandwich, like every control player decides they're gonna end the game in like 20 minutes, and then the minute you're waiting around doing nothing, like there's 6 draws happening, right? So I think play at your own pace is like actually a really big deal. And then the other asterisk was select regions, which I don't think they've actually announced it, where you can play this from, because it is involving real money. And I was actually very surprised this is actually happening. They're not giving you gems. At 6 and 7 wins on day 2, you get a cash prize of 1,000 or 2,000. Everything below that is gems. But that means you can make money playing Arena, which I don't know how that plays with gambling laws and regional laws and things like that. But there are some asterisks as to who's eligible to participate.
Yeah, I have not seen a list of that. Maybe it's out there and I have missed it. But yeah, I think that is exactly, as you said, a gambling law consideration based on different laws in different locations and countries and so forth. So hopefully most people can actually play. But yeah, I don't know. Definitely check and make sure that it is available in your area if you're thinking about playing. What do you think, Krim? Is this something that interests you? Are you going to be jamming the Arena Open this weekend?
Yes. I will definitely, because first off, I like the I like the amount of love that they're showing best of 1, because best of 1 is fun. You get a weird, like it's weird. You get away with a lot more jank in best of one, right? You can kind of like meme around it, even in ranked ladders, right? Like the meta is entirely different. So for those that aren't exactly the most excited for where standard is right now, I can go to best of one and sort of get away. You'll still see like Luka decks and whatnot, but I like what best of one brings. I think having it like the arena open, being pretty, like being both best of one and best of three. I see what they're going for, switching between two different formats, because I've always looked at best of one as a different format of Magic, because, there's always the talk about like, is this real Magic? Is it not? I mean, it's just faster games of Magic, like Richard had mentioned. Richard had mentioned you could play it like at like your own pace, which is like huge. So I like that, and it's faster Magic. And I don't know, it's kind of easy to just kind of like, as weird as it sounds, there's a lot going on, but it's kind of easy to pick out what to hate. Like, as long as you can survive, then you'll probably do all right in your game. So, like, having a ton of sweepers, interaction, and stuff like that. Like, deck building is way different in Best of One, so I like it. So I'm pretty excited, just all in all, about this like announcement, because then I can now play like competitive play on Arena. Competitive play is something I've been wanting, and something that isn't like, we don't have spectator mode, but we have been waiting for kind of like a tournament kind of mode, in client tournament mode, and I think we finally have that. So I think it's pretty sweet.
How many rebuys, Krim?
How many rebuys?
How many times are you willing to go? So guaranteed this will be someone's experience. They're like, best of one, but whatever, let's go. Right. Game 1, mull to 5.
You have the hand smoother.
Game 2, mull to 5.
You have the hand smoother.
Have you not played best of one? I play best of one. I'm mulling it a lot still, right?
Really?
Because
there's no wrong half of my deck though. So
that's true. I get the wrong half of my deck quite often, right? Because like you said, there's a hand smoother that balances the lands to cards ratio, but sometimes you get the wrong half of your deck, or, let's say it's very obvious now, because you're like, okay, that's like a Yorion across the battlefield. Is this an aggro hand? No, mull, right? Even though it's like a playable hand, it's not going to win. So you have to mull down. So I don't know. I'm worried about the variance, and you're probably going to have to rebuy a couple times. So, how many gems do we have in our accounts? How much can we burn before we're like,
I would limit myself. So I would say like 2 to 3 rebuys. That's what I would do. I would not do more than that.
But Krim, on that third rebuy, when you're at 6 wins and then you lose the die roll and get run over by mono red, are you really going to just walk away from your computer in a chance of qualifying for $2,000 cash prizes?
100% yes, or else I keep going and then it's a bottomless pit and it never ends. Like, that's the thing though. If you just prepare for like the aggro decks, I think you can play almost every other game, right? Or like every other matchup.
You can play every other.
Like the mid-range game, the control game, like all of that, like whatever, right? I could play that, but like the only deck that really punishes you is an aggro deck. So as long as my deck can either A, be faster than an aggro deck, or at least answer and keep interact. Well, I mean faster than, that's not happening, but like
yeah, that's why I was like Krim, really, you're gonna play a deck faster than aggro? That doesn't sound like you.
Yeah. Like if I can just pretty much stabilize, then that's all I care about. Because the amount of times where I'm winning in best of one with like 2 life is often. So that's how I built my decks, and I think that's the main game plan, right? Like with best of one, just can you survive the aggro players?
My game plan is to win 7 coin flips.
Seven
and
coin
go
flips?
first 7 times in a row to get my 7 wins and move on to day 2.
Cry the Carnarium is your best friend in this format, by the way. That and like Deafening Clarion, 3 mana sweepers are key in best of one.
I feel the overemphasis on aggro. I don't see it. Maybe I'm too low ranked, but I play a lot of best of one, and I do not see aggro that often. It's more or less just always like Fires and Luca and Lairs, and like occasionally you see mono red in there. The reason being is, if you win the coin flip and you're mono red, you're like pretty strong. And if your opponent stumbles, they're dead, right? And then it's a best of one. So people tend to gravitate towards the aggressive decks. But it wasn't like a couple seasons ago where everyone was playing mono red. Like I still feel there's a lot of diversity in the format. So I don't know if like going all in on stopping aggro is going to help you because, you know, RNG will pair you up against like 4 Yorion decks and then you're going to sit there with your Cry the Carnariums going, your 0-4 wall is now a 0-2.
It kills the Omen tokens. No, like, I also see Cat, right? So if you're seeing Cat decks, Cry the Carnarium's kind of like amazing against them, yeah?
Yep.
So like I see a lot of Cat, I see mono red, and you know, like there's it's a whole different meta than what like just best of 3 standard is. Yes, there's still Luca, but I mean, the only ones that sort of kill me immediately are those decks. Luca, I have a shot as long as you're playing like other things. So that's just how I've built my best of 1 decks, and it's been pretty solid.
I will say, as far as the tournament itself, I'm glad that they're doing real money tournaments on Arena. Like, I think that's cool that we have an open form of competitive play on Arena. I do think that the day one model comes across like almost predatory for me. Like, make it best of 1, give people rebuys, and try to get like the degenerate gamblers who just have to make day 2 to like lose some coin flips and like buy in and drain as many gems from people as possible. So maybe I'm just being too jaded or whatever, but I don't know. The day 1 format, I don't see it as like, oh, that's cool, they're playing 2 formats. I see it as like, oh, that's how Wizards is trying to like drain a bunch of money out of people, which whatever, Wizards does have to make money. I get that. And there are a lot of prizes, especially with potentially a bunch of people winning $2,000 or $1,000 because it's not capped. It's based on how many people actually get to 6 or 7 wins. So theoretically, Wizards is going to be paying out a lot of money, but I don't especially like how the day 1 format is set up. It seems like it is designed to get that like degenerate gambler player to just like keep spewing, their rent money for the next month to try to qualify for day 2.
Are you telling me a company that invented loot boxes has predatory behavior on people with gambling problems? But I do agree with you. I think you should cap it, right? Because now if you make day 2, it's not as big as an achievement, right? It's like you made day 2 asterisk after 10 tries, right? Like they should have just had you register once, do the event, and then that's it. Kind of like a real Grand Prix. I would like to see if they like, if after 8 attempts you don't make it, you somehow just slot into day 2 automatically. When I was in Japan, you know those like what are they called? Like the claw games? Where
the crane
like,
games? Yeah.
Yeah. I was playing and I sunk like $40 trying to get like this bear thing. And then the guy there just comes over and opens the case and gives it to me. It's like, okay. Like, I'm going to put an end to your misery. I feel maybe you should do something here because I do see people just incinerating money trying to get the coveted day 2 and just going forever, right? Like just going forever. And then they tilt. And then they keep losing and they tilt some more and they just keep going forever.
I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at this like it's not going to be that bad. I don't know.
I'll check in with you.
Yeah,
this weekend.
yeah. Let me know. I'll let you know at the end of this week if it was that bad or not. But like, for me,
Prim sells his house.
Yeah. Hey, I don't have a computer anymore.
I just need 2,000 more gems, guys.
I'm telling you, only 3 tries. That's all I'm gonna do. But
all right.
I like that.
Oh, go ahead, Grib.
I do like the rebuy part. Maybe I don't know. Because I get another chance to like I get to like give myself a few chances to try, and probably because I speak about it in this way because I plan on trying not exactly the most meta decks.
And you're giving yourself 3 tries.
Yeah, I'm giving myself 3 tries just because I just want to see if there's some piles that I could get there.
All right, let's move on to our other big OP announcement, which is what's next for Magic eSports in 2020, which is an article that came out a few days ago. And it's a long article. There's a lot of like technical information in it. So if you're interested in a full breakdown, definitely check it out. I'll try to link it in the description if you want to read it. But the TLDR is Magic eSports is moving exclusively to Magic Arena for the time being. So like the Players Tour events that had been canceled or were upcoming and had been suspended, all that stuff is going to be moved to Arena in one way or another, which means we're going to be seeing a lot of Standard. It also means we're going to get to see Historic at a Mythic Invitational in August, which is going to be interesting. Historic's first real time to shine at a major event like that. The other thing that kind of came out of it was a pretty big prize cut. I think the old system, if you added up all the events that were supposed to be taking place and had now been canceled and switched to these arena events, it was over $3 million in prizes that were going to be given away. It dropped down to like, I think 1.1 million for the tournaments that are actually going to be taking place on arena. So a pretty big whack to the prize pool. And the other thing that happened is related to this is MTG Hall of Fame bot on Twitter actually leaked this announcement a little bit early. This is something that came out last Tuesday, I think, and he posted it a few days before that. Apparently there was a Discord server that had all the MPL and Rivals people that were like discussing this stuff with Wizards, and then it leaked out of there and then got leaked publicly. And just yesterday, MTG Hall of Fame bot ended up getting banned based on leaking that and refusing to give up his sources, essentially, of whoever from that Discord leaked it to him. So that's an added layer on top of these changes. So what do you guys think about where we're at with organized play, essentially?
Oh, well, I mean, I like the Historic announcement. That's great, first off, because I've been excited to see more of a light shined on Historic as a format, because I feel like the format's overlooked, right? It's because it's the arena non-rotating format, you know what I mean? But it's actually really fun. And the Historic anthologies, like, have proven to make it so that the format's kind of like, it's different than Pioneer, it's not modern. And it's kind of just becoming its own thing. So I'm excited for that. It's an unfortunate situation where a lot of the stuff that got canceled now, like, has to get moved online, but, I'm glad that, there is still something. However, the prize cut, that's a lot. Where, like, would you say 1.1 million as opposed to the 3 million? Jeez Louise. That is a huge cut. And I'm not even sure where that cut goes, right? Like, what happened to it, right? Did it just disappear?
Basically, there was some sort of like corporate speak announcement posted that said what's it say here? Ensuring that we can include as many competitors as possible, many players from different regions globally, requires to reassess all of our event details, including prizes. These changes enable us to add an additional season finals as an exclusive event for top finishing players from the Player 2 Finals and Mythic Invitational. So basically, blah, 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 like, we're reassessing stuff, and that includes prizes, was kind of their take on it, which isn't super satisfactory, I don't think, for me or for most players I was reading on social media. It doesn't sound like, oh, the money's going to this or that, other than them saying we added this extra tournament, but even including that extra tournament, it's still that massive prize cut that we were talking about. That's including this extra finals event that they are adding to the schedule to replace some of the canceled events.
Okay. I mean, so, like, I saw that they went back, like, originally it was like you weren't gonna get a fully stocked account, so you still had to, like, get, like, cause, like, people that qualified through other means, right? And were also promised, like, maybe, like, this would lead into a different, like, format and stuff like that, are now forced to move to Arena. And I mean, but they did roll it back, and now they're giving out fully stocked accounts, if I recall.
Yeah. And I think that was a good change. I think, so the challenge there was, the events that people qualified for the Players Tour event was Paper, Modern, and Pioneer events. So some of those players didn't even actually play Arena at all. And we're like, wait, so now I have to, like, buy a whole bunch of arena packs to, like, build an arena account to play this event that I qualified for, thinking it was going to be like a Paper, Modern, or Pioneer event. But Wizards did actually walk that back back and decide that, similar to like the preview stream events, that they could give competitors a God account for just the tournament only to be able to participate, which that is, I think, a good choice by Wizards.
Yeah, that was a great call by them. That is a change I do like. But that's still a little unfortunate that, yeah, once again, like 3 million to 1.1 is way too crazy of a cut. But I mean, I don't know what else can you do, right? Like, if they're gonna cut that, it's like, well, all right, I guess. But the thing here is, I do like from this announcement. Once again, I just like the stocked accounts and the historic like stuff that's going on, and I do like that there are still some Magic eSports events, like kind of like an awkward situation, but like, you know, like kind of like I don't know how they walk away from like some of these announcements without, you know, upsetting some people in some of these departments. Like, yeah, like moving it away from the formats that people thought, like, you know, like, hey, if I qualify through Pioneer and Modern, unfortunately, you know, we're gonna have to do this on Arena, so it's gonna be something different for you, and it's not gonna be like the original formats you were intending to play. But at the same time, at least there's still something. So I think that's the silver lining. I think that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, yeah, it's just a huge prize cut.
I think I agree with you guys on most of it. The most exciting thing is historic being brought to the limelight. We're going to find out if it's a good format or not real quick. So up until now, Brewer's Paradise. No one's playing it. It's arena format. You can do whatever you want. The minute people put serious eyes on it, is there like a single degenerate deck that everyone, you know, congregates around? Or is it actually a fun and balanced format? We're going to find out real soon. So that's super exciting. Organized play, I don't know. Organized play is like the legacy of formats, right? Like Wizards keeps it around because they kind of have to, but they don't want to, right? Like we saw this earlier with the shift to Mythic Invitationals. Like they would much rather invest in streamers. Streamers bring in more new players. They're like more accessible, things like that. And organized play is kind of this carrot for some people. Like they need their superstars. They need their LSVs and Reed Dukes, but for everyone else, like the top 64 competitor at a Grand Prix or a Pro Tour, like they don't really care about you, right? So you can see why they're cutting back the money and they're like trying to invest it in other things, which they feel better about. But I don't know what we could do, because how many times have Magic Pro's been outraged in the last 3 years, right? Like every X months, there's a change to organized play. Magic Pros are outraged and then they go back and grind. Right? It's the same as players, right? Complain about this product, buy it up all anyway, right? Like, does it matter? Apparently not. So I don't know, aside from an actual boycott or of like big names who are upset about the changes actually stepping away from the game, like nothing is going to happen, right? If you go down and the next person comes up and plays, they have a new rising star, right? And then they'll just use that person. So I don't know what to do about this organized play, but I do think it is important. I think one of the things about Magic is we actually have a competitive circuit, a big one, and something someone can aspire to. But that's still a relatively small percentage of the population though. So I don't know how they can cater to both, like financially, and then still make it all happen. So I hope the pro scene doesn't go away, but I'm not especially excited given that this is like the second or third year in a row of organized play cuts. Like eventually we're going to be down to like one pro tour. Your prize is like some like, I don't know, alternate arts on your arena account, right? Like, I don't know, man. It's not looking good for organized play.
A box of the newest set.
I mean, it is kind of amazing that how stable and good Magic's organized play was for so long, for like a period of like 20 years. I think it was one of the better organized play systems out of, other esports and competing games. And then it's been extremely chaotic, I guess, to put it nicely, over the last 2 or 3 years with just constant shifts and changes. And I'm someone who keeps up on this because I enjoy it, but also it's like kind of part of my job of like covering Magic and whatnot. And I have a hard time keeping track of everything that's going on in organized play. So I imagine you mentioned like the gap between competitive players and casual players and how there's not that many competitive players compared to casual players. That gap is probably widening just because I can't imagine that casual players can get their head around what's happening for the most part with organized play over the last couple years. And I will also say the prize cut thing is really bad. Like, these are events that people already qualified for on the promise of a certain prize pool. I think that's the part that bothers me the most. If Wizards announced, in 2021, we have this pandemic, it was a rough year, next year we're going to have to reevaluate our prizes, or even for the tournaments that people haven't qualified for the end of this year, that, it would still be disappointing, and it'll be maybe, things aren't going as well as I wish they were, but it kind of makes sense in our current economy and world with everything that's going on with this pandemic. But the fact that they were changing prizes to events that people already bought plane tickets and flew, around the country and stayed in hotels to try to qualify for, that rubs me pretty wrong. And that just feels, I don't know, almost borderline illegal or something, false advertising or something. So that's the part I think that bothers me most about it. If you gotta cut future prizes for events people haven't already qualified for, that sucks, but I get it. Cutting prizes for events that people already spent money qualifying for, that really strikes me, in the wrong way. Anyway, any other thoughts on organized players? Should we talk about some more exciting news as far as new Magic cards that are going to be coming out shortly?
I'm always excited for new Magic cards, so...
All right, so let's start with Double Masters. We have Double Masters and Secret Lair. Double Masters, that is probably the big surprise announcement. So, Richard, what happened this week as far as new set announcements?
All right, Master sets coming back, featuring double the trouble. 2 rares, 2 foils per pack.
Too furious.
August 7th is when it drops. So basically a master set with double the goodies per pack. And we got a bunch of previews. We got 5 cards. And they're showcase styles. So the showcase arts are different. They're the full art version, but a different art on it as well. So we have Doubling Season, Blightsteel Colossus, Atraxa, Kali of the Vast, Mana Crypt. 5 mythics revealed so far.
Also, before we talk about the mythics, worth mentioning, also more than double the mythics and the rares in the set. The set's going to have 40 mythics and 121 rares, so it's almost like mystery booster style, where it has way more of those in an absolute sense compared to past sets.
That's so much. I wonder what that's going to do for the pricing of the packs too, right? I mean, these are some crazy 5 mythics already, Blightsteel Colossus and Mana Crypt Doubling Season. Oh man. And the artwork for the promos are amazing for me. I really the only one that I'm not too huge on so far is the Doubling Season one, but everything else has just been absolutely gorgeous. So what does that do for the price? How expensive do you think this set's going to be?
So they were up on Amazon, which is the official retailer of Wizards products. 24 packs, 2 box toppers. So that's 1 box, $300.
Okay, so I'm thinking the old Master set was what, 200? What was the last one we had? Ultimate Masters?
Yeah, I think it was around 200, depending on some of them got pretty cheap on the secondary market. Some of the bad ones that
Masters
they did at one
25.
point, Iconic Masters, and those were $125 I think at one point. But
yeah, this already alone has more mythics that I actually want than Masters 25 and Iconic Masters. So I think it's, I don't know if this is because it's catered towards EDH or something, but I definitely love it. And that alternate art Mana Crypt is something I need in my life, along with Blightsteel Colossus. I don't know if I $500 need it, but I do like it. And if it happened to get opened, I wouldn't be upset, right?
I mean, I think for me, the big thing is just having master sets back is a big deal. People have been needing more reprints. That's been a big cry. We've seen that a lot with fetch lands, a big outcry from the community that prices are getting too high. We've seen some crazy price increases of Commander cards, even just recently, like cards really shooting up in price. I didn't realize that Blightsteel was like almost $100 card before they announced this reprinting. Like, when did Blightsteel become a $100 card? So we definitely need reprintings, and master sets are one of the best ways to do that. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this all shakes out, though, with the bigger set size in 40 mythics and 121 rares. I think that's going to mean that prices of individual cards probably won't drop as much, and the hit on the value is going to be spread out over a larger pool of cards. But the good news is that means a lot of cards are going to get cheaper for players. So I have high hopes for this set. I think that Wizards is probably going to try to really pack it full of value and make it fun to open. Almost like we saw with mystery boosters. I think Wizards is more comfortable putting more value in sets if they have that larger set size, because they know it's not going to just absolutely tank the value of a handful of cards. Instead, it spreads that out over a bunch of cards. So I expect this to be a really strong set. The only downside is, what do you think about the price? Let's go with $300. Let's assume that that's what it is. I've also seen like $16, $17 a pack on Amazon if you're buying like single booster packs. What do you think? Like, is that too much for players? Like, are we getting to the point where people aren't going to buy it just because they don't have $300 to spend?
I mean, maybe because where we are right now, I would have to second guess the $16 price tag. But like before, like, you know, we were like before the whole lockdown and everything, like, I mean, my LGS was selling like the Liliana Master set, right? The one that did have fetch lands in it at, I think, like 20 a piece, and people were buying those instantly. And so like they just couldn't keep it in stock and it was sold out, right?
And I mean, I guess it's also worth mentioning that in some sense you're getting 2 boosters for the price of 1. Like, 2 rares and 2 foils. Like, when you open a booster pack, most of your value is coming from rares or foils anyway, and not the random like commons and uncommons. So you are going to get more value out of these theoretically than a traditional booster pack, even a Masters booster pack, because you're getting double of the best stuff in the pack every time.
Like, that is true, actually. Yeah. You are getting double the amount of things, so that okay, yeah. I mean, I'm interested in it. It like comes down to what's in the rest of the set, right? Because if it's just like these 5 cards and then the rest of the set is like, I don't know, like a bunch of homunculus, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be.
Fibblethip is not amused.
Yeah, Fibblethip is not pleased, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be a little upset by it, but I think right now, just from the 5 cards that I've seen, this set seems like it's going to be more than worth it. Like, between the 5 cards that we've seen right here, I don't like those promo cards. Can you get those in booster packs, or are those box toppers?
So those are box toppers. I don't believe you can get them in booster packs. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe they're box toppers that you can't get in booster packs, but you will get 2 box toppers if you buy a box as well, as part of the Double Masters theme.
So that means, because like there's I guess, to be honest with you, I don't think there's a single one of these box toppers that I don't want to open. Right? Like, I,
well, I mean, remember, we're only 5 cards into the set, and there's a lot more rares and mythics to go.
They're adding more box toppers, like, because I have a 1 in 5 chance of getting this mana crypt here, so like, that's what
yes, there's gonna be more box toppers announced, yeah.
Jace the Mind Sculptor box topper, please. No, like, yeah, maybe that's famous last words, but as of right now, when this is revealed, the 5 that I'm looking at, they are great. I will take any copy of these cards. I may not be huge on the Art of Doubling season, but I'll take all of it. I think this set, as of right now, looks like it's going to be more than worth the price tag.
Yeah, so the most exciting thing for me is non-foil Atraxa. This is the first non-foil printing. If you want a card that's flat, and it's called Atraxa, this is your like one chance to get it. So we're getting non-foil versions of presumably other Commander cards too. What's confusing is this Commander Masters, or like, why are all the cards Commander cards? Will we see non-Commander cards? What is going on? We're gonna have to find out more, but as of right now, the 5 cards they've previewed, maybe Blightsteel is a non-Commander card, but they're heavily focused on Commander.
Blightsteel is the most Commander card, right? Like, I think all of these are very Commander.
Vintage, you can play it in Vintage or something. Is it a companion? I don't know.
No.
But is this like this Commander Legends? Like I don't know what's going on. We gotta see more previews. Are we gonna see Tarmogoyf in here or something? Or is this exclusively Commander focused?
We still have that Commander Legends.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised.
Like this is like a crazy set, and then also have Commander Legends. Like
Wizards is about to answer like how many EDH decks is too much, right? Like how many Commander decks can one person own? Because they're just shoving Commander cards down our throats. So as long as we keep buying it, they'll just keep printing them, right? So
I'm okay with it as long as like Mana Crypt just goes down in price, because that is a very expensive card. Like all these cards I think are pretty crazy. Like I got a Blightsteel Colossus. If I didn't have one from New Phyrexia, I probably wouldn't buy one. Right? Like
I think out of the cards we've seen so far, I think Kalia was the least valuable, and even Kalia was like $40 or $45 before the reprinting was announced. And Doubling Season's like 65, Atraxa was like 60, Mana Crypt obviously ridiculous. So every single card we've seen so far is a high value card. Of course, there's a ton of cards to be revealed, so who knows what things will look like. But I actually have high hopes for it. I'm a little concerned that we're going to see complaints just because 300 is a lot in an absolute sense for some people. So I feel like this is going to be another product where I look at it, I'm like, oh, like the EV's good. This seems like you're going to get, if you spend $300 on a box, you're going to get $350 worth of value or something. So to me, that looks like a good deal, but it's easy. Something I learned, I guess, is it's easy for me to forget sometimes that not everyone sees it that way, because I thought the same thing about like the Fetchland Secret Lair drop. Like, oh, you spend $200 and get $275 of cards. That sounds like a good deal. When a lot of people look at it from the other way, where like $300 is a lot to spend on a box of cardboard. So I'm a little nervous that the higher price point is going to lead to some pushback in the community. Hopefully that doesn't overshadow all the good I think the set can do as far as like reducing prices. Even if you can't buy a $300 box or don't want to buy a $300 box, you're still going to benefit from cheaper Doubling Seasons and Blightsteels and Atraxas and non-foil Atraxas and all that stuff. So I feel like it's going to end up benefiting everyone, whether you actually want to splurge on a $300 box or not.
I mean,
you get double the Comet Storms.
Yeah. Oh no! Comet Storm and Star Storm.
Yeah, those are your box toppers. You get box topper tree redemption and Comet Storm.
And that's where the Ron Howard voice comes in. And Krim was not happy with his box toppers. Like I do think though that there's one more thing that is always good to mention when it comes to like the value of these master sets, is that like they temporarily lower the cards, right? Like every master sets that I've seen, it's been a lowered price cost temporarily. Like Snapcaster at a point I think dropped to like 40, but then it went right back up after a while, right? Like after the set was out for 2 months. So we'll see how long the prices like stay lower for with this set. But usually I just always look at this as like Modern goes on sale for like 3 months. So like maybe the same thing happens here. Blightsteel, all that, they go like these cards, they're cheaper for the time being. So try to like if you have it, I would get into it while the set is out and in circulation.
Yeah, that is a good point. Even though prices will drop, they will likely not stay long. That's traditionally what happens with these master sets. So try to take advantage of it when you can. It is also just like unfortunate timing, I think, with the economy and the pandemic, and just it's a tough time for people to invest a lot of money. So the timing's unfortunate, but I am super happy that master sets are back, because I really think they are one of the best ways to get more high supply reprints available, unlike stuff like Secret Lair, which serves a purpose, and I guess maybe we should transition and talk a little bit about Secret Lairs. But unlike Secret Lairs, master sets actually do increase the supply of cards enough to impact prices. So I think it's a good thing to return, although I am a little nervous about how many people are going to have the money to splurge on expensive cardboard just right now.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing. Like, who can actually afford to pay the additional, like it's like $100 added on to a box, but it is the Too Rare, Too Furious set. So, I mean, once again, like that's Like, if we're talking value, it's there.
All right, so let's move on and talk about our other big announcement. And this is kind of coming out almost live as we're recording this, but Wizards promised a while ago there was going to be this summer super drop of secret lairs, like kind of like the original secret lair drops, where it went on for several days, all in a row, get one each day type of thing. And apparently today is a preview day for those because they've been coming out on Twitter. So, Richard, what have we seen so far about these new secret lair drops?
All right. Happening in real time. So by the time this podcast comes out, maybe we'll have all 5. But right now we have 3 different drops. The first drop is birds. We have Baleful Strix, Swan Song, Gilded Goose, Dovescape, Birds of Paradise, and as Seth called it, art my grandma would have. Once you see it, you will not unsee it. Like, you go to Goodwill, you find like some weird cloth with some print on it, and there's like a Birds of Paradise looking at you. So that's the first drop. The second drop is Planeswalkers. We have Vraska Golgari Queen, Johnny Steadfast, Domri Rod, Raid. I don't even know his name by now.
Raid. Domri
Raid. Rade. Rade.
Rodeo. Like, yeah, okay.
Tavio Field Researcher. Vraska Golgari Queen. Oh, said that already. And the art style is like, I don't know. They're pretty different. Tamio's art is pretty different. It's like a kind of serious looking.
It's like art. Indiana Jones and Tamio.
that is exactly what it is. And then Golgari Queen, Vraska. It looks like the Joker or something. I don't know, man.
No, I figured it out. It's what's that cartoon with the rabbit? And it was like a
Roger
Rabbit.
Oh, yes, you're right. It
there
does
it
look
is.
like that.
Yes. And then the other drop we have is, I don't know what you would call these cards, but Spell Pierce, Pithing Needle, Inkmoth Nexus,
Yes.
Eternal Witness, Blood Artist, and very unique art. I don't know.
This
how to
art
describe
is
it.
my favorite one. It's the tattoo art.
It looks like tattoo art. Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I
it
thought
is.
of too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that Spell Pierce is perfect. The Inkmoth, I don't even like Inkmoth Nexus, but that looks good. And the Pithing Needle is like the classic, like, you know, knife through the skull kind of looking thing with like floral print around it. Like, so far the tattoo art one is the one that okay. All right, you got me. I want it. I want it.
I think that's my favorite one too. I think the tattoo art is probably my favorite one. I don't mind the bird ones, but maybe it's just nostalgia for being a little kid at my grandmother's house or something. So, the Planeswalkers though, I don't know. I think that's the lower tier for me. I'm not really hyped about the Planeswalker art personally.
I am not excited for the bird one because I don't think any of the birds except for Birds of Paradise look like a bird, you know what I mean? Like it, like
what they all straight up look. They're like literally birds.
No. Like they do look like birds, but I guess the thing is they look very normal. Like
yes,
like it's do. Like the Nat Geo release, like, you know what I mean? Like, and as cool as the Birds of Paradise is, I don't think I'm going for the Nat Geo theme of like, 'cause like Baleful Strix just is an owl, right? Like, it's like, okay, sure. Yeah, like the Planeswalker one though, I think so far I love the Tamio. I mean, the whole Indiana Jones x Tamio collab going on here, I'm all about that. The Roger Rabbit Vraska a little different for me, but the Tamio one might individually sell the set for me.
Oh, so Krim, I gotta ask you. Well, this is one of those super drops, which means you're gonna have the option to, on day one, buy the entire drop of all, however many releases there are. Do you think that you will do that? Will you take that option, or is this a pick and choose one? Like, is the tattoo art cool enough that you get the discount and just get all the drops, or do you not want the bird so much that you're going to avoid that and just grab the tattoo one?
I think that the bird one is too much of a distraction to me for me to buy all of it.
Is this like the first promo that like Krim is not going to buy?
I think it is. Krim loves his promos.
I love my promos, but I just don't like the Nat Geo release. As I said
Swan
before.
Song. Look at that Swan Song. Come on. It's a card you would cast.
It is yeah, I would cast that card, but I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not really in the mood for like that promo art, right?
This is Magic the Gathering on the plane of Earth.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe if we're doing a real life art style thing, I'll wait for another cycle of, I don't know, creature types or something like that. But like the bird one just looks too bland for me to like buy all of it. I love the Planeswalkers one because like as we speak right now, the Domri one popped up and he's like a cowboy. So like that's sweet. Like I would pick that up. He looks like Woody. Like I'm on board with it. Like, and I like the thing about promos is I want the ridiculous. I want the wild art from all over, right? So we've got Woody, Indiana Jones, Roger Rabbit, and of course the tattoo art. Like these two sets are looking stellar to me so far. So I would just pick up those two.
All right, I want to circle back to Seth here. Seth, you're not a fan of Godzilla. Are you a fan of plain-looking geese and owls? Are you a fan of Roger Rabbit? Are you a fan of tattoos? Like, is this too far? Have we killed the, what's the word I'm looking for?
I'm waiting until the next set when they just post an actual photo. like, you know what I mean? Like they had a photographer go out and actually snap a photo of a bird.
No, I'm fine with these. I really am. They are Magic IP. Yes, they look like different things. They don't look like normal Magic art, but I like unique looking promos. I mean, some of these I like more than others. I think, the tattoo one is one that I really like and I would play those cards. I also would play the bird ones. The Planeswalker ones, that's just, I don't know. I don't really care about Indiana Jones and Roger Rabbit and whatever. That doesn't really do it for me, but I am perfectly fine with promos like this. And honestly, I actually think this is, as much as there's been some hits and misses with Secret Lairs, I actually think they're one of the better ways for Wizards to monetize the game, because these are more solid drops where these are cards that are already pretty accessible. None of these are cards that people have been like, oh my god, we need a reprint of so we can play Modern or Commander or whatever. They're just like cards with cool art, and if they appeal to you, you can buy them for a fair price. Like, I actually think that Secret Lairs, while the amount of them is concerning, and the fact that they're very close to Wizards just selling singles is really weird and a little bit concerning, I actually think that this is a relatively fine way for Wizards to monetize, the game.
Yeah. I love it. I'm waiting for my Bob Ross Basic Lands.
Oh,
it's coming.
Boy. Oh.
This is what this reminds me of. Like, we're gonna do traditional looking paintings. Okay, let's go. I use my Bob Ross forest, cast my Gilded Goose.
Oh, dude, the next set it'll just be like actually a picture of a tree. and like a lake for the island. You know what I mean? I actually would pay for that. I think I would want that.
All right. So, I guess we should probably answer, some fish mails. Richard, take it away.
All right. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air. First question from Wizard. With game-breaking cards and mechanics coming out every set, the feel and gameplay of Magic doesn't feel the same as it did 5 or 10 years ago. When is Magic no longer Magic because it's starting to feel like Hearthstone?
Is it still Hearthstone? I mean, as long as we're interacting, I think I'm... right?
Are we interacting? Three Fairy has a word for you.
Yeah, I mean, like, but you could still Sharknado, you know what I mean? Like, you're still doing things, like, as weird as it sounds, I don't know. I don't think we're at Hearthstone yet, but like if every set there's a new, Luca into Agent of Treachery, then yeah, okay. I guess that we're starting to move into the realm of Hearthstone. So far, I do think that there is a huge power bump in Magic, and it shows, and like the explosiveness of some of the decks are just, like Luca, are just insane. Like the games are so swingy. Like you've seen like some matchups where like some people are just like really far behind, and then out of nowhere it's just like, oh, I finally got that omen of of Heliod, and now I'm just gonna steal your best card and then ultimate it, and then now you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree with that.
The swings are real. Real. Like
it's not the swings. It's more like the snowballs. I guess.
Yeah, like both.
I guess the large snowballs, and then Agent of Treachery like makes you take the snowball.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
But like in the olden days of Magic, right? Like the game wouldn't end and you could sit there and you had to work to kind of grind that card advantage. Now, like every card has card advantage on it and you just snowball out of control. Like the minute you miss a land drop or anything, like you miss like playing like a relevant 2-drop or 3-drop, like the game just snowballs totally out of control. So I do think that's what's changed in Magic though. Like back in the day, if they resolved like a Tarmogoyf and started hitting you, you had like 3 or 4 turns to do something about it before you died. Now they resolve a 3 fairy, like you're dead, right? Like you gotta answer this immediately or you're too far behind to do anything. So I do feel that has happened. But the most Hearthstone thing is if you look at Legacy or Vintage, those formats keep changing like every set release, which just means the new cards are too powerful, right? Like they're upending 20 years of Magic cards, 25 years of Magic cards, like every single set now. So hopefully Wizards notices this and tones it back before it's too late.
Yeah, like...
Next question. Beer of Nihilea. Tech against Bobble decks. Play all foreign language cards. So when your opponent looks at the top of your library, they have to ask you what the card says. Then you can fetch it away or leave it. Too far?
I already play all foreign cards.
I mean, they could probably pull up their phone and look it up if they want to be sneaky.
Not at a tournament. Not at a tournament.
Or call a judge.
Yeah.
You have to call a judge for every card.
Yep.
And
but like I live for that, right? Like that troll factor right there.
I do feel it is an actual competitive advantage though, because a lot of people will be hesitant to call a judge over. Like they don't want to look dumb, right? Like, oh, you don't know that card? Like the art is so iconic or whatever, right? So like they don't want to seem dumb. They're gonna guess what the card does, or like it's like cryptic, but you forgot what the 4th mode does or something like that, right? Like stuff like that. So I do feel it's an advantage, but I don't know. It's also kind of funny at the same time.
Yeah,
so I don't consider it as bad as like rules lawyering, but it is kind of scummy though.
I look at it more as humorous. Like I mean, but that's probably because I also do it. Like, and like the thing here is I do that. Like I have a white bordered Japanese cruel ultimatum, right? And I casted that, and my opponent asked which mode do I choose, and I said, oh, hold on, like I get all of it. so like it's more of just like funny to me, like, and like, because that's why I love like the misprint Ashiok. I love I just love foreign cards too, because I also just love the way the characters look in certain languages. But yeah, on top of that, it's just funny. I don't know when somebody does that.
I mean, I think though, like if you're playing it to be funny or to troll, I think that's perfectly fine. I think it's probably fine either way because it's within the rules. But I think, what about intentionally playing to try to like get, I don't know, a higher win percentage against your opponent by taking advantage of them, the social pressure to not call a judge every card, to know what it says. Like, if that's your intention, I could see how that would come across as scummy. If you're just like, hi, like these cards, and I think it's funny, like, whatever, like, that's perfectly fine. But I do think the other way of playing them, I could see how that could come across as scummy.
Like a chalice or something like that, I guess, to try to...
How about a Dryad Arbor that looks like the normal land? But like, wait, is there a foreign version of it? Can I get one that doesn't actually say what it is? or is that an English only product?
I think it was
from the
English
vault,
only,
right?
From the vault, yeah.
Oh, if there was a foreign language from the vault Dryad Arbor, oh man.
Just the forest. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, but isn't it also like a tactical disadvantage in like some ways? Like if you're playing a slower deck because you're going to run out of time and you're going to go to a draw bracket.
That's true.
Right? Like, because if they have to call the judge on every single card, what does that do?
No, you have to judge for a time extension. You're like,
will they give you a time extension?
Why not? Can't you? I don't know how this works. Can you not get time extension every time judge comes over?
I don't think they'll give you a time extension if like, example, every one of your cards is foreign and the opponent has to ask for it, right? Like, maybe they do, but...
Remember, you're doing this for competitive advantage, so you have no shame. So you would, like, rush your opponent every time they had to make... like, the board state didn't change at all. Like, what are you thinking about? Like, come on.
But then if I'm the opponent...
decide during my turn?
like if I'm the opponent, I'm gonna say, well, I'd like to play faster, but I also don't know what your cards do. So hold on, I gotta call the challenge, right? Like I'm gonna still do that regardless if I don't know what it does.
Yeah.
Because I played against a buddy and he played like a full play set of like Japanese apocryphite. I don't even know. I still don't remember what apocryphite does actually. So.
All right. Next question. PG in 4D. If cards like Lairs get banned, similar to Hogak and Oko, does the format just fail to ever increase in power level? As WotC pushes stronger cards, maybe Hogak and Oko won't feel so broken because there are new cards to compete with them. Thoughts?
That's a scary thing to think about. like
Yeah.
Oko?
Yes, if you're
Do you
consistent-
remember that bad card, Oko?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine that like Hogak type stuff could ever be bad. Like, do we really want to live in a world where your very consistent through hate card turn 2 kill deck is just not good enough? Like, then we really would not be playing Magic anymore.
Yeah.
Like, if we were to the point where Hogak was just like, oh, that's not good enough, then I would be on the
I would just play
Hearthstone
Solitaire.
or Yu-Gi-Oh or something. Yeah,
I just play straight up Solitaire. Install that again.
I mean, and I think that Wizards has been pushing the power level of formats forward. We've talked about that before, like just the mass of new cards that are heavily played in formats like Modern or even Legacy. So I don't think that not printing cards like Oko or Hogak is going to be an issue. Like, you can not print those cards and you can still print plenty of other cards that are going to see play in change formats like Modern or Legacy, but not see play in 50% of decks or something absurd that makes the format, less diverse and less fun.
Hogak and Oko is like, and like Veil of Summer, those are the cards that I want to like say are at the top, like of power level. And like I don't want to go past that. Like I really hope there aren't cards just waiting to where we actually say, do you remember when we missed Oko? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want that to be like, you remember the good days, right? Like, I don't ever want it to get to that point. So like, I think right now, if you were to ask me, I hope that the power level of Magic does not surpass those cards. And then we can all just have a good laugh and a hoot about the days of having everything elked. And like, yes, okay. Thankfully, those days are behind us. Not, oh man, I wish those would come back.
All right. Secret Lair break. A Johnny was released. Have you seen a Johnny, Krim?
No,
I'll
I have
link it
not.
to you.
Oh, wait.
This has made me want to buy some Secret Lair.
Oh, man. Are you
Johnny,
joking me?
Like,
This is a
style-
crossover. This is X-Men. It looks like
Yeah,
Cable.
it reminds
It's
me
Cable.
of like 90s Marvel's comics.
Yeah.
Or like Thundercats, maybe. Like, oh, this is like super sweet. Seth doesn't care about any of this.
Man,
but
what are you
What
talking
is an
about?
X-Men? Is that a sport? like
but it's like literally he has like the badge on him. He has
Yeah.
like the plane symbol and the color scheme.
Yeah.
He just looks like
dude, this looks
straight
like
out of
Cable.
Marvel.
It's Cable. It actually is just 90s Cable.
It is.
Like
love
this is so sweet. Okay. So we've got Cable, Indiana Jones, Woody, Roger Rabbit. This might be okay. This is looking like a pretty good set, right? Like I'm pretty sold on these promos right now.
This might be my second most favorite Magic card of all. Like, what does this card even do? Which Johnny is this? Do I play this? I don't play this at all.
It's the
bad one.
It's the Super Friends one.
This and Liliana Japanese version, I think, are actually straight up my two most favorite cards in Magic.
Richard, what about the birds? What about the birds? The new
birds will-
Baleful Strix.
Birds will come in third.
Wait, Seth, are you hyped on the birds? I don't know actually. Are you like?
I actually like the birds.
He's gonna
I would
buy a
play the
set for his
birds.
grandma.
I would play the birds in my deck and give them to my grandmother
This
as a
is the
as a
chance
birthday
to rope
present.
your grandma into playing Magic. So for the holidays, you get like Magic cards for Christmas.
Maybe that's what Wizards is going for. They're trying to break into the over 75 age group, which is currently underserved by Magic.
Next week on Reddit, the top of it, someone will like make a blanket with like all of the birds. all
or a
of the birds.
cupcake.
Dude, or like the mountain shirts. Do you know what I'm talking about? The mountain shirts, like the ones that have like they're like kind of like they look like tie dye, and then they have like.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
All right. Back to Fishmail. Waiting on renders. Can we all just agree Krim is a broken player? He loves companions, as they literally take over every format. He loves 3 fairy, even though it ruins the stack. And he wants Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise and Pioneer.
But you know what's funny? Like, Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise and Pioneer don't even feel broken in there, right? Like, that, they feel fair. I don't know, maybe, because, like, broken Magic to me is like Oko, Nissa, Veil of Summer. That's broken Magic to me.
It's only broken if he doesn't play it.
Yeah.
Like 3 fairy, perfectly reasonable.
No. Like, I do think that 3 fairy is very powerful. Like, but yeah, maybe I just like broken Magic. I don't know. It really could just be from Ixalan. Like that standard made me so bored out of my mind that it just felt like I was like rolling my face on my keyboard. Like every time I was logging in, it's like, sure hope I run into the Teamer Energy Mirror. Oh, look, I did. and like, what am I going to do today? Oh, cool. Check this out. Rogue Refiner. Oh, better get banned because it's too powerful. Like when Rogue Refiner was the truth and like attuned with the ether, all that, like, oh man. That that was not the business. And I know that was Kaladesh and whatnot, but like what was actually like Ixalan standard, like the before, like without Ether Revolt and all of that. Like I can't even remember what was in standard at the time, but it was so boring. It was so boring.
The Explore deck?
Yeah,
Explore deck was good,
man.
Right?
Explore, like, at one point I remember like on somebody came into my chat and they said Explore is like such a powerful mechanic, and I'm like, is it though? Like, I don't think so. Like, and maybe it's just because, yeah.
That was the Wild Growth Walker, play my 2-drop, gain like 1 billion life, and it's a big...
Tarmogoyf 2K18 or whatever.
Krim, do you think you're just biased against Ixalan Standard because of Carnage Tyrant? Like, if Carnage Tyrant was not in that standard, do you think you would think of it differently?
even if it weren't in that standard... Yeah, I would still look at it the same way. The power level was so low. It was so boring. You didn't think so?
I mean, yeah. I think it was a pretty boring block. I don't really like Ixalan in hindsight. The idea seemed kind of cool at the time, but it was pretty underpowered, like in general. Although I do kind of feel like maybe they swung the pendulum a bit too far. They were like, oh, this was really underpowered, so let's just print the most broken cards in the history of Magic all in a row, like over the next year.
They hit the NOS button and then they went flying into like...
Yeah, they might have went a bit too far the other direction to compensate.
Krim, did you watch Fast and Furious this weekend?
I might have watched Fast and Furious. If you want me to quote it, I will.
Do you live your life 1/4 mile at a time?
Winning is winning, all right?
All right, next question. Oh crap, now what? Wouldn't companions be weaker if they were actually in your hand? You get Thoughtseize a companion. How much would it affect their power level? Do you think they'd be playable if they were in your hand? Like, if you're on the draw, you would discard on turn 1 if you didn't have a turn 1 play. So do you think they would actually be playable if they were in your hand?
What is it? Dredge got a new toy. Sorry, mandatory. Like,
you just gotta win your die rolls. It would make best of 1 even swingier. Yeah, I mean, I think they'd still be playable. I think you just build around them. They would be worse for sure.
Yeah.
Mostly because of discarding. I don't think Thoughtseize is actually that legitimate of an argument. Like, I think even if you could Thoughtseize companions out of the exile zone, they would still be really broken. Like that, I don't think that's a good argument, but the discard argument I think is pretty convincing.
Next question. Vio Halo. With the Godzilla license being used for promos, what other licenses would you like to see? I would like to see Gundam for artifacts, and Avatar The Last Bender for 5-color.
Ooh. Avatar, that'd be pretty cool. Also, the Gundam idea is pretty sweet. I mean, I guess I kind of right now got the wish I wanted, a Marvel crossover, as this Ajani does look like 90s X-Men. So, but yeah, I still am I would push for Marvel. And, like, I would love to see, like, a return to like Innistrad or whatever, but with more horror themed things like Freddy Krueger, you know what I mean? Like Michael Myers and stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I can kind of see that. I'm not wholly against that. I think I'd like that better than Godzilla's, actually. That would actually be kind of cool.
I actually really like the secret lair because it is a Johnny Steadfast. Like, imagine if it was like Cable Steadfast or whatever, right? You're like, what? So it's the same. It's the right name. It's art in that style. So you could have, a vehicle that looks like in the Gundam style without it actually being a Gundam. And then the one thing I hated about Godzilla is, like, there are too many of them. Like, there's like one Godzilla. Like, why do I have so many different versions of Godzilla, right? Like, I understand there's like timelines and different stories and versions, but I would have much preferred it if they had a secret lair and there was like one Godzilla card, right? Now I play Godzilla, you're like, which one, right? There's like duplicates, so I didn't like that part. But I think if they bring back secret lair things, they can check all the boxes, like a Marvel themed one or a comic book themed one, things like that. I don't know what's next. Like, Gundam is pretty good.
Gundam's
Voltron,
good.
Any of the old like mecha stuff would be pretty sweet.
I'm surprised, and like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Transformers was actually a thing we'd see, right? I mean, that's. I mean, we already have it, right?
Had those silver border, yeah.
But like. Yeah. How long until we just have a non-silver bordered Transformers?
Yeah. Or I'd like to see like real world tie-ins, like artist series, like
birds.
No.
like
like basic lands in the style of Van Gogh, right? Like you always see these altars on like Reddit and things like that. But I think that would be like super sweet, right? Like iconic art styles, and not Seth's birds.
I would be all about Bob Ross lands if they did that. Or classic art styles would be cool too. Like those would definitely be sweet.
All right. Last question. We have a couple, so I'm gonna choose one. Noah Boy 99. I've been playing Modern with an Abzan midrange deck. So brave. The new white hate bear and Stoneforge have been pretty strong against companion decks. Would Richard be willing to stream some Abzan and maybe regain hope in black-green X decks? Nope. It is so much of an uphill struggle to play like fair mid-range decks. Like, remember before any of this, I already hated like Mystic Sanctuary. Like, you can't beat that card. So layering on companions, Veil of Summer. We're not playing Thoughtseize and Tarmogoyf anymore. I don't know what would make me play a BGX deck again. Like all the cards are just bad. All of them. Like, I don't want to play any of them. It's
really?
Like, it just feels bad.
Oh, that's so sad. Like, I miss the days of Magic when you could just play a fair mid-range. Like, I was thinking this week, do you remember that it wasn't that long ago that Siege Rhino was like the 4-drop everyone was complaining about in Standard, and people were like, oh, is it too good? Is it dominating the format? And now it's like Fires of Invention wins a game, Winota wins a game, Wilderness Reclamation. Like, we have a whole list of 4-drops that just win the game, when Siege Rhino, it like drains you for 3 and puts a like semi-big, but not big as creatures we see nowadays body on the battlefield. It's really amazing how much things have shifted away from that style of Magic in a really short amount of time.
Yeah.
Tarmogoyf needs a power bump. Tarmogoyf needs to enter the battlefield, make your opponent discard their entire hand. And then for each non-land, they take 3 damage.
And then each land you draw a card.
Like, we just need Kroxa without like any of the downsides. Just like a 2-mana 6/6 and then the bolt and the discard every turn. Even then, that's good enough.
What you mean is you want the Kroxa side, but instead of them choosing what to discard, you look at their hand and pick.
Yeah.
And then you still lose to their companion since it's not in their hand.
Yeah, there's just too many. I don't know. You can't play fair Magic anymore. And Blood Moon used to. This was weird. Blood Moon used to be the savior of fair Magic because like you lock them out of their game plan and then you do your fair Magic. But even now with Astrolabe and things like that, you can't even Blood Moon people. So I don't know how you like drop like a 3-mana 4/4 or 5/5 and then like attack 4 turns and win. I don't know how you do it in Modern anymore. It's like not possible. All right. That's all the time we have for Fishmail this week. Thank you to everyone who sent them in. If you have questions, you can send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail. and we'll get to your questions on air.
And I believe that brings us to the end of episode 278 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So, Richard Krim, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Spikes Academy for supporting the show. And we will be back next week to talk about whatever goes down in the world of Magic. So until then, have a wonderful week, and this is the crew signing out.